Coors Field, Shohei Ohtani put on a batting performance that was almost impossible to believe. He went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs, crushing his 28th and 29th home runs of the season and leading the Dodgers to a dominant 11-5 victory. But the second home run was something truly special. The ball traveled an incredible 452 feet, approximately 137.7 meters, making it Ohtani's first back-to-back home run performance of the season. Yet, the moment that touched people's hearts the most at Coors Field was not the number on the scoreboard. Behind the stadium, near the players' and staff vehicle entrance, a female cleaning worker had been waiting for nearly an hour. She was not waiting for Ohtani, for herself. She simply wanted his autograph for her son, a 13-year-old boy living with a congenital disability. And when Ohtani learned why she had waited so long, he quietly stopped. What he did next was so beautiful that even his 2 home runs seemed like only the beginning of this story. As the noise from the stands gradually faded, Coors Field began returning to its usual post-game atmosphere. Staff members started cleaning the seats and clearing the surrounding areas. The number of people in the corridors slowly decreased. The Dodgers had finished their 11-5 victory over the Colorado Rockies and were preparing to leave the stadium. Ohtani had been the center of attention throughout the game after his incredible offensive performance. But in a quiet corner of the stadium, one woman was still waiting. She was a cleaning staff member who worked at Coors Field. Standing near a corridor leading deeper into the stadium, she repeatedly held a small item she had prepared in both hands. Her co-workers were leaving one after another, but she remained there. Every few moments, she looked toward the hallway where the players were expected to pass. She was waiting for one particular player, but she was not waiting to take a photograph. And she was not waiting for something for herself. She was waiting for Shohei Ohtani. She had made a small promise to her son waiting at home. Her name was Maria Alvarez. She was 48 years old and had worked as a cleaning staff member at Coors Field for many years. For Maria, baseball had always been something she experienced from behind the scenes. While she cleaned the seats, restored the aisles, and pushed her cleaning cart through the stadium, she could hear the excitement of the fans from a distance. Only after the crowds disappeared and the stadium became quiet did her work finally come to an end. But on this particular night, she had a special reason not to leave immediately. Maria's son, Daniel, was 13 years old and had been born with a congenital condition that affected his nervous system and mobility. He had difficulty moving his legs freely and had used a wheelchair since childhood. Despite everything he had been through, baseball was one of the greatest joys in Daniel's life. And there was one player whose name he mentioned more than anyone else: Shohei Ohtani. Before Maria left for work that day, Daniel had made a very simple request. "Mom, if you see Shohei Ohtani, could you get his autograph for me?" Maria simply smiled. She could not promise that she would be able to make it happen. She knew she was just one of the many staff members working behind the scenes at a major baseball stadium. And Ohtani was someone thousands of fans wanted to meet. Getting close to him after a game was anything but easy. Still, after finishing all of her work, Maria did not leave. 10 minutes passed, then 30 minutes. And before she realized it, almost an hour had passed. Several times she considered giving up, but it was not because she was tired of waiting. She was worried that approaching a player immediately after such an intense game might bother him. Then she thought about Daniel waiting at home, a 13-year-old boy who had spent years admiring his hero through a screen. A boy who was simply hoping to receive one autograph from the player he loved. So Maria decided to wait a little longer. Then, suddenly, she saw several Dodgers staff members walking down the hallway. And in the middle of the group was someone she immediately recognized. A large figure wearing a Dodgers jacket. His steps were slightly slower after the long game. It was Shohei Ohtani. Walking beside him was Will Iraton. Maria had waited nearly an hour for this moment. But when Ohtani finally stood in front of her, she suddenly froze. She tightly clasped her hands together. After several seconds, she gathered enough courage to take one small step forward. "Excuse me," Maria spoke. Will stopped first. Then Ohtani stopped as well. Maria knew that if she hesitated even for a moment, she might lose her opportunity. So she quickly explained in English. She told them that she worked at the stadium. She told them about her 13-year-old son, Daniel. She explained that Daniel had been born with a congenital disability and lived in a wheelchair. Because of his condition, he rarely had opportunities to meet professional athletes in person. Then Maria looked toward Ohtani and said, "My son really loves Shohei Ohtani." She hesitated before making her request. "Would you be able to sign something for him?" Will carefully translated everything Maria had said. Ohtani did not immediately respond. For a few seconds, he simply looked at Maria. Then he quietly asked Will something. Will turned back toward Maria. "Your son's name is Daniel, correct?" Maria nodded. "Daniel Alvarez." Ohtani repeated the name slowly, making sure he had heard it correctly. Then he asked one more question. "How old is Daniel?" 13, Maria replied. Will translated her answer. Ohtani quietly nodded. Maria quickly added that even a single autograph would be more than enough. She also apologized for keeping him there after such a long game. But Ohtani did not reach for a pen. Instead, he quietly said something to Will. Then he suddenly turned around and walked back toward the Dodgers area inside the stadium. Maria stood there, completely confused. She began wondering if she had asked for too much. "Did I bother him?" she asked nervously. Will simply smiled. "No," he said. Then, looking toward Ohtani disappearing through the doorway, he added, "He just wants you to wait here a little longer." A few minutes later, the door opened again, and Shohei Ohtani appeared. But this time, he was carrying something he had not been holding before. A baseball bat. Maria looked at the bat, but she still did not understand what was happening. Ohtani walked toward her. Will handed him a pen. Ohtani began signing the bat. Then he paused. He wanted to make sure he spelled Daniel's name correctly, so he asked Will to confirm the spelling. After writing Daniel's name, Ohtani added 2 numbers beside it, and 29. Maria still could not fully understand what she was seeing. Then Will quietly explained, "This is the bat Shohei used to hit the home runs he just hit." Maria's eyes immediately widened. His 28th home run, his 29th home run, 2 consecutive home runs. And the second one had traveled an incredible 452 feet, approximately 137.7 meters. It was Ohtani's first back-to-back home run performance of the season. Maria finally understood. She immediately shook her head. "No, I can't accept something like this." Will translated her words. Ohtani quietly shook his head as well. Then he looked directly at Maria and said something. Will turned toward her. "This is not a gift for you," he explained. Maria was speechless. Will continued. "It is a gift for Daniel." There were no cameras, no press conference, no crowd applauding. There was only a quiet hallway inside the stadium. Ohtani simply held out the signed bat with both hands. Even then, Maria could not immediately take it. She kept saying that all she had asked for was an autograph, a piece of paper, a card. Anything would have been enough. She said Daniel would have been incredibly happy with just that. Will translated her feelings. Ohtani listened until the very end. Then he gave a small smile. He said something quietly, and Will translated his words to Maria. "Then please tell Daniel that this home run is yours." Maria could not speak. Her hands, which had spent every day pushing a cleaning cart through the corridors of Coors Field, began to tremble as she finally accepted the bat. She held it tightly against her chest. The record books would remember Ohtani's 2 home runs from that game. But somewhere outside the spotlight, Ohtani had taken those home runs and given them to a young boy who was not even there. Maria hugged the bat as tightly as she could, as if loosening her grip might somehow make the entire moment disappear. She repeatedly bowed her head. Her lips moved as she searched for the right words. Finally, she managed to say, "Thank you. Thank you so much." Will translated her words into Japanese. Ohtani simply nodded quietly. As Maria slowly regained her composure, she began telling Ohtani more about Daniel. She explained that he had undergone several surgeries since childhood. There were periods when he had to stay at home for weeks. There were also times when he could not attend school like other children. During those difficult days, baseball became something that allowed Daniel to temporarily forget how different his life was from other children. Maria wiped away her tears and smiled. "He probably won't believe this," she said. Then, after a short pause, she added, "All he asked for was an autograph." Will translated her words. Ohtani looked at the bat in Maria's arms. Then he quietly responded, and what he said next may have been even more meaningful than the bat itself. "Please don't tell Daniel I gave this to him, because I felt sorry for him." Will paused before carefully explaining Ohtani's meaning. "Please tell Daniel that Shohei gave him this bat because he is a baseball fan who loves the game." Maria could not say anything. She simply stood there and looked at Ohtani. Perhaps what touched her heart the most was not the bat. It was those words. Ohtani did not see Daniel simply as a boy in a wheelchair who needed sympathy. He saw him as a 13-year-old baseball fan, a young boy who loved the game, a young fan who admired Shohei Ohtani.
And he treated him exactly that way.
Before leaving, Maria asked if she could tell her son about what had happened. Ohtani nodded. Will then delivered his final message. "Of course, but please let Daniel be the first person to see the bat." Maria nodded repeatedly. This time, when Ohtani walked away, she did not call him back. She simply stood there, holding the gift for her son tightly in both hands. And quietly, she began to cry. For Shohei Ohtani, the game at Coors Field would be remembered as a remarkable night. He hit his 28th and 29th home runs. He went 4 for 5. He drove in 3 runs. And he helped the Dodgers defeat the Rockies 11-5. But for Maria and Daniel, what would remain in their hearts far longer than the final score was the story behind one baseball bat. Baseball can be measured by distance, exit velocity, home runs, RBIs, and countless other numbers. But kindness cannot be measured by statistics. On this night, Shohei Ohtani did more than hit 2 home runs. He gave one of those unforgettable moments to a young fan who simply loved baseball. Thank you so much for watching Baseball TV. If you enjoy videos about Shohei Ohtani, the Los Angeles Dodgers, MLB, and reactions from around the world, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest videos. And now we want to hear from you. What do you think about Shohei Ohtani's incredible gesture? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next Baseball TV video.